My kitchen looked like a murder scene.
Welcome to the official Unofficial Sea of Thieves podcast, a podcast dedicated to Sea of Thieves and other rare games, but mainly Sea of Thieves. About a month ago, the official Sea of Thieves Cookbook released, giving players the opportunity to experience this game with all of their senses. I personally have been draining my bank account in making all these lovely meals and cocktails, so in this very special episode, we will be discussing the origin story of this cookbook, as well as the meals and lore this book has to offer. And we also have a very special guest today, because who would be the best guest for this episode? I will tell you, it is none other than the writer of the cookbook herself.
Hi there. Hi, how are you? I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah, you're welcome. Does this person also have a name?
Yes, this person does. Hi, my name is Kayce Baker, and yes, I am the author of the Sea of Thieves, the cookbook.
The cookbook. Did you have any input in the name of the cookbook?
No, I did not. And I know there's a lot of I don't say controversy, but there's a lot of dialogue about it doesn't say the official, but you know how Sea of Thieves does things. They like everything nice, and there's a cleanliness to their wonkiness, right? It's kind of interesting to say, but yeah, they wanted it to be Sea of Thieves, the cookbook, which was I think kind of nice.
Okay, but if you had to choose it yourself, what would it be?
I'd put official in there.
Yeah, that is what I would have done as well.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of reactions this month? Because it released this month, so I'm guessing you're a bit more famous now.
Yeah, actually, I've had some really great reactions to it. I'm super happy with what I've seen so far as like commentary. Also, I mean, I've gone down the Reddit hole a little bit, so that's been a little tricky to kind of basically parse my words as I'm kind of reading up on this stuff. But yeah, actually there's been a lot of really great feedback, and I just want people to really enjoy this, enjoy the recipes, enjoy the writing. I mean, I enjoy it as much as I really loved writing it.
All right, and you did everything, right? The recipes and the stories attached to them?
I did everything. Yeah, I did. The only thing I did not do in the on the book is the layout, and yeah, I mean the layout, the design of the like the text and the graphics and stuff like that. Everything else I did. I did the writing, I did the recipes, I did the cooking, I did the photography. So yeah.
Oh, that's great, because you did everything, but you didn't do the renders, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you had no say in that.
No, I had no say in the renders. That all came from Rare and Titan Books, the editing team, but mostly Rare, because this went back and forth, and obviously Rare has final say on everything. So yeah, it took a while for that. They actually it was delayed multiple times because they wanted to do certain renders for it. So I thought that was great.
Okay, yeah. Because there are, and we'll talk about this later, because there are some renders in there that have never been released before. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I was aware of one of them. There's a couple in there that I don't think I've seen before, but there was one in particular I know I've never seen before. And do you want to talk about that now, or you want to wait till later?
Let's keep the anticipation going. Let's leave our listeners wondering a little bit. Otherwise, they'll click away right now. Like, the interesting bit is over.
Yeah, right. Yeah, bye-bye now.
I wanna dial a bit back, actually, because you were speaking about Reddit. So what has been the feedback on this cookbook? Because I see no flaws.
Yeah. So, thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that. No, so Reddit. I should just delete Reddit from my phone. So, there's always commentary about the fact that, and I get this, right? And I get this, that there's no recipes in the game. So how is there actually a cookbook? And, all these cookbooks like that are, off games, they're all the same. They take recipes from somewhere and just smack a name on it and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And so I feel when I see that, I don't know if they realize that I am actually a gamer. This is like one of the games that I absolutely adore. And I've been playing for a long time, and I get it. I know, I mean, I spent a lot of time researching the lore. I spent a lot of time actually thinking through this. Like, this wasn't just like, oh, awesome, I'm going to go do a book. Let me go get a bunch of recipes and smack a name on it. Yay, me. Yeah, nothing could be further from the truth. And so I feel like when I'm on the Reddit, I'm like, do I respond? Do I respond? And I have. I've responded to a couple, but I've been, because there've been a couple people who have actually tried the recipes and they've posted up the photos, which is great. Like, I'll respond to that because I see that people are engaging with it and they're trying the recipes, which is what I want them to do. I figure this is a great gateway for anybody to try cooking.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's interesting because those people on Reddit clearly have not even touched the book. Because it's so clearly, like you said, it's a labor of love, and you did an awesome job with integrating the Sea of Thieves world. Like,
Thank you.
I can really imagine the NPCs in Sea of Thieves eating all these dishes.
Thank you.
Because there's lore attached to it, right?
Yep.
And again, we'll talk about the lore as well. But I'm guessing you had a free hand in making up all those stories as well. I
did actually. I was. To be honest, I was really surprised. But I guess they figured that they knew that I understood the game, and so the way I came up with it is, so of course I had the conversation with my with the editor, and when I found out that I was going to be the author, first off I flipped out, of course. So I was hopping up and down. My husband was like, "What in the hell is going on with you?" And I'm like, "You won't believe this! Oh my god!" And I'm freaking out. And then of course, then it hit me. I'm like, "Oh crap! Okay, I really have to think about this." So hold on. So then like this overwhelming like rush of like it just like it's a huge responsibility. I had to explain this to my husband. I'm like, "Look, you don't understand. This is a huge responsibility. Like, this isn't just about like just doing some recipes and putting it into a book. I have to. There has to be lore. It has to be integrated into the game. It can't just be willy-nilly. I have to make sure that the ingredients that are available in the book." So I had this conversation with the editor, and I said, here's the thing. There's no recipes in the game, right? And they're like, "Well, but there are food items." I was like, "Well, yeah, but there are no recipes." And she's like, "Well, maybe you can." I said, I think I know what you want me to do. So let me just, okay, cool. I got it. I understand." So what I ended up doing for like the next couple weeks is really kind of, going back in. I hit the C post. I talked to Hendrik. You go in, you have the dialogue, right? You listen to all the dialogue. You get to, go around. You figure out who's who, what's what, all the NPCs, find out what they're doing. You read up, Chris Alcock's book, which are fantastic. So I read up the lore. And then it just kind of came to me like, how do I want to... How am I going to integrate this world, right, into something that's about cooking? And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is Hunter's Call, right? Because it's Hunter's Call, right? This is where you go for everything that is food. And then I thought, well, who better to tell this story than Lorena? She's at every single outpost. She's the first person you see. She's cutting up mangoes left and right, constantly. So, and she's always the one to have that dialogue. She's been there from the beginning in Chris Alcock's book, how it is she arrives, to the Sea of Thieves from the outside world. I mean, it's all kind of like there. And then I'm like, well, how would that even start, right? Because you read up on his book and you realize that she's talking about eggs and bacon at the beginning, right? So it's called rashers in England. And so she's talking about eggs and bacon. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, so chickens, right? So, well, there's lots of chickens. So there must be eggs somewhere. There have to be eggs somewhere. So, okay, there's that. And then I started thinking about it. It's like, well, Hendrik. So I went and, like I said, had dialogue with Chef Hendrik. And it turns out, he wanted to do all these things. But he's stuck, right? He's stuck at the sea post, and all his family members are replaced else, and now Merrick is dead, and so there's all these things, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, just because he can't, maybe he just couldn't afford it. Maybe he just couldn't afford to go off and make all these restaurants around the Sea of Thieves. But what was to prevent him from going and training the people at the outposts? So this is how it all kind of came together, right? I'm in my mind like, how would this even happen? I'm thinking, oh, and this would be such a great quest, right? So, a legendary quest of culinary expertise. I'm thinking, oh, this would be great. So that's how it all came about. Like, and I laid it out. I got whiteboards. I like, okay, this go here, and then I thought about the ingredients, and I'm like, each place has got such a different feel. So I'm thinking bananas and coconuts in the shores. And then I'm thinking, yeah, you got more like a mango feel in Ancient Isles. And then you go into the wilds. Ooh, pineapple, prickly, very prickly, right? And of course, the Devil's Roar just writes itself because, fire. So, yeah, that's kind of how it all came about. So I wrote the whole thing, and I submitted it. And I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, honestly. I don't know. Somebody coming back with like, red line this, red line that, this, no, blah, blah, blah. And Chris Alcock actually is the one who went through it, and very little changes.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Oh, I was elated, absolutely elated.
It's good. I don't even know why I bother writing questions in the script. I just let you talk and you answer everything. That's great.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's good. It's good. I love it. I love the enthusiasm. It's for those that aren't aware, by the way, we were talking about Lorena and Hendrik. Like, Lorena is kind of our guide throughout the cookbook.
Yep.
And she's following the influence of Hendrik, who also traveled before her. Am I describing it right?
Yeah, you're describing it right. So what happens if you go to one of the sea posts, and it's the one right close to Sanctuary Outpost. So if you go to the sea post, Chef Hendrik is there. You have a conversation with him. You realize that he had this dream. Right, he had a dream of opening all of these Chef Hendrik restaurants around the Sea of Thieves, like at every single outpost. Right, that was his dream. Well, obviously he never did that because there's no quests for Hunter's Call. Boo.
Mm-hmm. Not yet.
Not yet. Boo. But he had this dream. And so the concept here is that he went to the closest outpost, right? He had to go pick up something, or he just started to do this. He started to do these training sessions. He thought to himself, why do I have to wait to do this? He's got such passion for cooking. You could hear it when you start having this dialogue with him. He's talking about these recipes he wants to do with, he's got, parrot feather this, and he's got, snake blood that. And he's going on all these different types of recipes that he's got in his mind. And, so I thought to myself, wow, what a passionate guy. So, I can't imagine him just sitting at the sea post. He must go and create. So Lorena happens to be outside obviously she's always outside the bar, right? The tavern. And Hendrik happens to go into the first outpost there and starts to train the tavern keep on how to cook. Right? Because right now all they do is pour grog. So I was thinking back to the story from Chris Alcock, who basically said that Lorena had arrived at Sea of Thieves and that her first meal was basically eggs and rashers. And so obviously there had to be some kind of cooking going on at some point in time, but very basic. So here Chef Hendrik decides to go on this legendary quest to teach all these tavern keeps at all these outposts how to cook, and Lorena tails along, follows him on his journey.
Hi, I love that because now when we see Lorraine at every outpost, we know, oh, she's probably trying out the local cuisine right now.
Exactly.
I really like it. It makes it stand apart from other cookbooks. Like you said, it's just not recipes with a name slapped on it. Like we call it a little bit different, but it's actually a recipe from another book. And that's not the case with this one. It's great. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there was also, I mean, if you want to talk about it at some point, there's also a lot of thought put into how the recipes came about.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that because it's not just like I'm gonna make a video about this as well. As when the podcast releases, my review of the cookbook is already out, and I like it because when you have rice, the rice is explained, I think, by the merchant alliance bringing it in.
Yep.
And it's also not just regular rice; it's coconut rice or pineapple rice. So it really uses the flavors of the game, and I really like that.
Thank you. Yeah, it that was part of this whole thing, which I, at the start I told you, talking to the editor about the fact that there's no recipes in the game. So what I wanted to do was not just make something that had, for instance, like, pineapple upside down cake, that is in the book, but the way that I lay it out, it has not just pineapple, but some pomegranate, and it uses, so any recipe uses something that could be theoretically found in the Sea of Thieves. For instance, like if a recipe sounds about right that you wanted to do, but it uses flour, maybe I use coconut flour. Or maybe I use coconut oil or coconut palm sugar or coconut milk. Pineapple jam with the fine sugar, right? Because there is sugar in the game. There's spices in the game. There's antiquated coffee in the game. There's obviously all the fruits, right? There's all the animals, and the fruits. So I wanted to make sure that there was at least something, right? At least something in there that made sense. And vegan butter was also used a lot as opposed to regular butter. So I tried to see if I can kind of vegan butter being more plant-based, right, as opposed to cow-based. So yeah, there's a lot of thought process put into this. Each time I wrote out the recipes, I was like, so if somebody really like where would this come from? And so each outpost has a different person that could possibly bring in one of the ingredients, right? So like, black marketeer, if you have a conversation with some of these NPCs, they say, hey, I can get you anything from the outside world, like Eduardo. So yeah, there's a lot of like I said, there's a lot of tie-ins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's great, and I love it. It also makes you cook with ingredients. I, for example, never cooked with coconut oil before. Never made coconut rice before. When I make grog, I use a regular sweetener, but now I can't go back since I'm using the coconut palm sugar. Really a game changer. Really like my grog now.
Oh, thank you. That makes, oh man, seriously, that warms my heart. I love hearing people that enjoy the food. That's the thing that somebody like me who's a home chef really enjoys. I just like watching people eat my food.
It's great. Like I would even go so far as to say that this is my favorite cookbook.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. Yep. Thank you so much. How did the rice turn out?
Very. All right. So I have one complaint.
Yes, go on.
It's like I'm Dutch, right? So I'm not really used to the imperial system. Like I'm not used to ounces and cups and tablespoons. Like we don't do that. It's just meters, milliliters, and that's it. That's how we work. So I had a hard time adjusting the meals. Even though there's a conversion table at the end, it's very nice, but still can be a little daunting. Plus, all the meals are for like large spider crews, like for galleons, and I'm just a solo slooper. Yeah. So sometimes it's hard adjusting. So taste-wise, it was great, but I did not nail the structure down. I think I used too much coconut milk for the rice I have. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it can get, yeah, that can actually happen where it gets where there's too much. Usually if that happens, just a cooking tip. If you use too much and it's a little too moist,
Mm-hmm.
just leave the cover off and put it over the heat, kind of like toss it around a bit and let it dry out.
Hmm.
Because technically the rice is already cooked. The problem is it's got too much moisture, so you just need to dry it out.
Oh, thanks. That's a great tip. And it's always a process, right? I think you kind of agree with me that cooking books are always there for inspiration.
Yes.
Like the first time you follow the recipe to a T, or you try to follow the recipe to a T, and then you start adjusting to your own flavors, and then you've made a perfect meal that you can repeat without a cookbook.
100%. That's exactly right. It is used for inspiration, used for creativity, and always adjust it to your own taste. Like however it is you want to. I mean, because every kitchen's different, right? Every kitchen's different. So you being in the Netherlands, and somebody else being in England, somebody else being in the U.S., and then somebody else maybe being in Japan. I mean, and then of course even here in the U.S. like somebody being at sea level versus somebody being in Denver, Colorado, which is mile high, like way above sea level. Different cooking times for all kinds of things. Plus of course they always say that cooking is an art and baking is a science, and that's actually kind of an interesting story I'll leave for later because I got a funny story.
Okay, all right, we'll save that for later. But again, we love talking and it goes very natural. But I want to dial it a little bit back because you said that you were already active in the Sea of Thieves community before you start writing this cookbook.
Yeah, so I've been playing Sea of Thieves for, like I said, since Flameheart was in the sky. So it's a while back.
You were like, oh, this handsome man, I gotta play the game.
Yeah, exactly. Funny thing is, a friend of mine had told me, and my game name, my screen name and game name is Shreds. So they're like, Shreds, you should really play Sea of Thieves. This is amazing. And at the time I was playing, I'm heavily into Fallout, so Fallout 76. And I said, yeah, okay, that's cool, because it's a very sandboxy type of thing. And they knew I'm very much into pirates and stuff. They're like, oh yeah, you should really try this game. And of course, I did. And to be fair, now don't get me wrong here, I love the game, right? Love it. I mean, obviously, I'm really not just invested in it, but I adore it. It's so beautiful, so engaging. Hashtag photo mode. Hashtag please give me a photo mode. Hashtag photo mode. Please rare. Hashtag photo mode. Okay, so really getting into it, and the problem is that there's no real train. There's like you're just dropped into an outpost. You wake up at a bar, and you're like, okay. So now what do I do? And there's no guidance, right? There's no guidance whatsoever. Even if and now there's a tutorial, right? There did not used to be a tutorial. So now there's a tutorial, but even with that, it's just like the pirate lord's there. Okay, here's a sword. Go kill a chicken. Cook a chicken. All right, now go fix your boat. See ya. There's no real guidance on like, okay, where your quests are, how do you get your quests, how does this work? It's very like you really have to explore, right? So it's kind of like being dropped into like a really old game, like really old. I mean, back into the 80s type of game, right? Where you're dropped into this place, like, okay, go explore, right? And when you type in walk left, wall. Walk right, So it's kind of the same thing. And at the time, I just didn't know anything, and I got pirated so badly. Oh man, I just got it. It took a while to really just get into it, because also you're not like, if you come from other games, you think to yourself, oh, it's quest based. Okay, I'll go and complete a quest. Or I'll go and do a quest or a tall tale or whatever it is. And you think that that's going to progress you, right? Because that's what happens in every other game, right? You go at other games, you complete a quest. You start a quest. You get to the middle of a quest and you get XP, right? XP here, XP there. And for this game, that's not how it works. You have to bring the stuff back and sell it. And if you don't sell it, you ain't done nothing. Like there is nothing to so you could be starting this game from scratch and you've been in there for like, you know, and again, they didn't have timers back in the day. Anybody who gets into the game now, you lucky bastards. So back in the day when you just got dropped in, you have no idea how long something's going to take you. So you could be in there for 3 hours. And you're just collecting skulls and you're collecting treasure chests and you're going along. And then all of a sudden there's this sloop. And for no reason whatsoever, you have no idea why, you get sunk. And 3 hours? Bye-bye. like gone.
Feels like this is a real experience you had.
Yes. It's an absolute real experience.
I feel like you still remember the cosmetics on that sloop as well.
Oh man, it was it's serious PTSD. So at the time I was like, oh, okay, well, this may be a game that I think is beautiful. This may be a game that I would totally think is great, but right now I am not a fan. I'm just not a fan. Eventually, I kind of, I kept on coming back to it, and I started reaching out to different people in the community. I kind of started, watching some videos from other people because I mean, the thing is, I really wanted to love it because it's just so beautiful. It was just so relaxing to sail. It was just so engaging with all the different tall tales, with all the different lore, with Rare adds so much stuff. And I find that that people don't give it credit, especially the gaming community, right? It's like, people out there, all the haters. There's so much stuff that they add. Like, you're not buying new stuff. I mean, sure, there's Pirate Emporium. Like, yeah, okay, fine, great. But nobody else. I mean, there's so few games, right? So few titles at this level that continue to add content. Seasons and more content and I mean, got your Legend of Monkey Island, you had your Pirate Life, you had, I mean, all these different things, and it's just such a great game. Anyway, so I started to kind of watch some other stuff, and I really got into it, and I started streaming it a little more often, and really kind of getting into, all right, this is how this works, and I brought my community along, the El Gato Pub community, and I brought them along because, like I said, we were really focused on 76, but I wanted them to kind of take a break from, nuclear disaster and come into something that was a little bit more, fresh and watery and sunshiny. So, right. So now, I've been streaming Sea of Thieves now for 3+ years. Yeah.
Nice. Would you say it's one of your favorite games now?
Yes, I mean 100%. And the more I practice PvP, the more I love it because, well, you know why. I don't even have to say it.
How would you say your skills are right now? Are you more to a swabby? Or are you experienced? Are you close to a sweat? What would you say?
I would say I'm just maybe two notches above a swabby. I like my skill. like if you put me in naval combat, I will kill you. All right, naval combat. Like if Arena was still around, I would destroy you. But hand to hand. I don't come from the Fortnite world, so I don't bounce around like a little jumping jack, and I don't. That's not my style. And because it is cross-platform, I play on. I know I'm gonna get crap for this, but I play on Xbox. And the reason I do is because my day job is all computer based, and I just want to get off the keyboard. So this has been my thing since I started playing on Xbox back in the 90s, and it's just I don't like to be on the keyboard all day, so I hop over to a controller because it's much more chill for me.
You get no judgment from me. I'm also playing on Xbox.
Yeah. It's and plus with the new Series X, it's like super fast, so it's all good.
Aye.
But yeah, it's I'm getting better. I think it just takes like you have to be strategic. You have to get better. Like last night, I was streaming, and last night we had this sloop that was following us for some strange reason. We had no idea why because we had nothing on us, and they kept following us. And we tried to kind of get them to stop following us. So we dropped things in the water. We dropped ourselves into the water to go board them and try to get them to stop. And they just kept following us and following us. So finally we get to an outpost. I say, just drop the anchor, guys. I turn left. It's kind of like a Tokyo drift. I hit it and slide, and then the ship is coming right for us. So we had cannons right on their bow, like bam, 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 and just sunk them. So yeah, it takes, like I said, naval combat is great when it comes to hand-on-hand, hand-to-hand combat. I'm a little wonky, not gonna lie.
I think that's great about this game. I'm not the best PvPer myself either. I mean, I make it out to be like that because I have a YouTube channel, so everybody sees my best clips, obviously. But
he's amazing.
No, I'm not. It's just lucky shots that I added together. Don't worry about it. But the thing is, like, if you play it smart and if you think about angling and where to position your ship, you can win most battles. Let's be fair. Just be smart about your naval and you can win. And that's also what I like about this game as well.
Yeah, the new, I mean, they always say tools, not rules, right? All the new stuff that they came out with, and I know I heard your opinion on many things in the last podcast, but I will say that the zip lines are super fun. I mean, like I said, they're just fun, right? There's lots of little things that are kind of just wonky fun. And that the horn, I think the horn is hysterical. It is super fun, and it can give you such an edge. So we used it yesterday. We were on a brig, and they were on a sloop. So we used the horn to because we were going against the wind, and of course the sloop has the advantage going against the wind against anybody. So we used the horn to just get us that extra little distance. So. Yeah, I mean, I think the double gun thing I haven't really used very much yet. The throwing knives, I agree with you guys. Definitely not for actual PvP. Really great for PvE. Super fun for PvE and for in-game content and in-game events that I like. Kind of like knife throwing contests. But not great for PvP. Definitely.
Right. Yeah. I have been playing around with the horn now as well, and I have to admit it is really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's not even like, and it can be used for so many different things. And the bone bomb. The bone bomb. The bone bomb is just too funny because all the skeletons have names. So we're like, go Bob, go. Get him, Steve, go get him on the other side. Yeah, it's too funny.
Never knew we'd be attached to skeletons.
Right.
Let's bring it back to the cookbook.
Yes.
Because let's start with the beginning again. Because you have done a cookbook before, the Sea of Thieves cookbook, right?
Before that, yes, I did it was a self-published book, and this is how it is. I got tagged to do the Sea of Thieves cookbook actually. So during the pandemic, I'm a creative, and so I got really bored, and I thought, because I had a lot of energy, right? I had a lot of nervous energy and stuff. Just how things were during the pandemic, and so I decided to write all the recipes that I normally would cook, all of my my type of heritage type of recipes, and just to put it in context, even though I was born in the States, I was raised in Mexico, so my family has a lot of Latin and Caribbean type of flavor, so I'm very comfortable with Latin and Caribbean cuisine, so I'm very comfortable with that. So I was doing a lot of my writing down a lot of my Mexican family recipes, and I'm also a photographer by trade. So I'm a photographer, a marketer, chef. I mean, I do a lot of stuff. So I started photographing them, and I'm like thinking, all right, I'm gonna make a cookbook. So I wrote a cookbook. And I started, I posted up and I posted my photos, and then I thought, I really like doing this. So I'm going to make some grogs. So I started on the Sea of Thieves side of things. I started thinking, okay, I want to make a skinny grog. I want to make something that is less caloric, right? So I created that drink and photographed it, and then I did, oh, this is fun. So I did a couple of other grogs, a couple other drinks, and I posted those up on my website. And so when a friend of mine, Victoria Rosenthal, she's actually an amazing author. She authors all the like a lot of the other cookbooks. In fact, she's got a new one out for ESO. She didn't have time for this one, and plus it was out of her wheelhouse. And she recommended me because she knew that I was a heavy Sea of Thieves gamer and that I'm also a chef and a cookbook author. So she's like, hello, this makes a lot more sense. So she recommended me, and the person reached out from Titan, and they had seen my photos of my cookbook, and they'd seen photos of the grog recipes that I was doing and posting them up. And they said, yeah, you're the one. You make sense. So,
but how does it work then? Like, does Rare say to Titan Books, we're looking for a cookbook author, or how does it work?
That I don't know. I don't know who talked to who first, but they had to get me approved by Rare.
Okay.
So they had reached out to Rare to make sure that I was the one that they were comfortable with, and they said, yeah. Yes, we are.
That's great. Was it a call? Was it an email? Or
it started off as an email, and then it turned into a call, a quick little interview call, and then I had to send samples of my work and samples of stuff, and then from there, the approval came. I mean, this is pretty good. The approval came within 48 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, I was over the moon.
Did you get any requirements that the cookbook need to fulfill?
Yes. So there were a lot of vegan requests. So there was a certain amount of vegan recipes that had to be part of the book for sure.
Was it hard for you to do that, or?
No, not at all. Actually, when you start thinking about it, there's a recipe I put in there at the end. It's a breadfruit recipe. So if you know the history of breadfruit, it's very Caribbean based, as it turns out. So breadfruit, if you go to the Caribbean, you can find breadfruit everywhere, and breadfruit is actually very delicious. They make French fries out of them, and they're delicious. They're like really good, and they make so many things out of breadfruit. So it turns out that there's the Mutiny on the Bounty. So there's the pirate story, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah, look it up. Look that story up. It has to do with bread. It has to do with breadfruit.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I just know that they did mutiny and then lived on an island, and that's the only story I know about it.
Yeah, there's their cargo was breadfruit.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah. Look that up. It's actually a pretty interesting story. So I kind of I took some liberties and I got creative with it at the end there. So you'll see if you read through that, you'll see the how I wrote that out. But anyway, it's actually a very delicious It's a very delicious curry. It's very tasty.
Okay, I gotta have to try it out. Need to get my hands on breadfruit first. So.
Yeah, that's about the only. Yeah, I mean, most of the. I was really trying to make sure that most of the ingredients in the book were readily available. Some of them
not always the case for.
Not always the case, right? Like the breadfruit did take me some time to actually get myself. But I figured that it was in such a spot that it made sense that it was going to be something that was, and forgive the pun, rare, right? So it was something that you could, if you came across that type of thing, you should definitely give it a shot. And the other reason I put it where I did was because of the fact that it's the Sea Dog Tikka Masala. Is what I named it, and I put it in this spot specifically because the glorious Sea Dog no longer exists. right? I mean, well, it exists, but it's not open. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the reason it's sort of this particular dish is in there. And of course, there's also you have the shadow stormfish, which of course is a which you can only, for the most part, find. Well, I mean, not only, but mostly only. You can only find in that one spot. Yeah.
If you go fishing for shadow stormfish, you go to the Sea Dogs Tavern.
Exactly.
And they didn't use the right render for that. Did you see that?
I did. That's actually the wild one. That's not the shadow one.
It's terrible.
I know.
But you're not to blame. It's rare.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it and I'm like, wait a minute. That's not that doesn't have like the red and the blue and the. Yeah, I caught a trophy one of those once, and I'm like, whoa! And I cooked it, and I came back. I got like 24,000 gold for it. It was like, oh man.
Yeah, it's great. It's one of the highest value pieces of loot you can get. Trophy shadow stormfish cooked. Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, that's great, and I love it too. Like every recipe in the book is attached to some story or some region, and it's great. Speaking about that, what are the dishes you are most proud of?
It's funny. I got asked this question yesterday. I was on Jotaro. I was on the community manager.
I was watching.
Yeah, I got asked that question. I was like, oh my god. Well, the one I'm most and if you were on yesterday, you kind of heard the story, and that's kind of the funny story. I am
just watched the beginning, so please enlighten me.
Yeah, so I was really proud of being able to do that double shroud cake because here's the reason why, and I know that there's commentary on Reddit or other places where it's like, oh, it's just that's just a whatchamacallit, a red velvet cake and da-da-da-da. And the answer is it's a variation on a red velvet cake, and here's why it's so important. So, like I mentioned before, I wanted to make sure that it had some tie-in to the ingredients in the Sea of Thieves in one way or the other. And if you take a look at a regular recipe for red velvet cake, there's nothing there that ties into the Sea of Thieves in any way, shape, or form. So of course I had to reconfigure the recipes. The thing is with baking, like I mentioned before, it's like a science.
Yeah.
So the red velvet cake, originally you have buttermilk and vinegar. So when you combine buttermilk and vinegar, there is this reaction that it has, and it comes out pinkish, like they call it red, but it wasn't really red at the onset. It was more pinkish cake. So it's a chemical reaction. Anyway, so the thing is, they started adding a lot of red dye, right? They started adding like food dye, which is of course how you get the really super red velvety thing, right? You really got to add a lot of red dye. That's how you get really the richness. And the other thing is that it's nice and fluffy and still kind of got this savory. It's just really nice and fluffy and it's lovely. It's a lovely texture. The problem is that if you're adding coconut milk, it changes, right? It changes the cooking times. It changes the amount. It changes everything about it because it's no longer being baked the way it was designed to be baked. And so therefore all the timing changes. There's all kinds of different things that have to happen in order for it to actually make sense. And in particular, if you're adding coconut oil. So the way that I kind of changed things up is that I made it into more of a coconut type of cake. And the way I had to do that is I used coconut oil. So coconut oil definitely creates a different type of leveling. And it took me 3 times to get the right balance, 3 times to get the right level of ingredients. My kitchen looked like a murder scene. Like there was just, and my husband and I did this particularly when he was gone because he would have killed. I mean, it would have been a real murder scene if he actually had seen this. So the place was just covered in red. Just there was red everywhere because you're baking the cake and you're thinking, okay, let's go, let's do this substitution here and let's do this here and then there's a process and which comes first. I mean, there's a lot of science in baking, like which step comes first, how do you combine these things? And so it took me 3 tries, and there was red cake everywhere. And I needed to make sure I had the right amount of food coloring to make it really like that, the Devil's Shroud red. I needed to make sure the rock candy was nice and orange to make sure it looked like the little spiky things all over, all over the Devil's Roar.
You make your own? Rock,
I did.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so the rock sugar, you basically just find some nice white rock sugar, which you can get anywhere, and then you just take some orange food coloring and just a certain amount, put it in a plastic bag, shake it up, and it turns orange.
Oh, that's good to know because I didn't know how to make that, so now I do.
Yeah, and yeah, you just get a big piece, and then you just kind of crack them up so it looks like the little spiky thingies, and just toss them into the bag with the orange, and boom, you got Devil's Roar spiky thingies.
Nice, that's great. It's on my list to try actually. I really want to try that cake. Also, the coconut banana cream pie is also high on the list that I want to try.
Oh, yeah, that's so good.
It does look delicious because you took all the pictures yourself as well.
I did. I took all the photos myself.
And yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to ask: did you eat everything that's on those pictures then?
I did. I ate. I mean, my husband gained 15 pounds.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to tell you how much I gained. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I also gained since this cookbook. Yeah. Also the cocktails as well. And then I buy coconut water, right? And like a liter, and it says, "Oh, you can only keep this for 3 days after opening." I was like, "Well, gotta make some more grog now."
Gotta make some more grog. Yeah.
My hand's being forced.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing too for all the cocktails. Like I kind of thinking through how a pirate, because the actual grog recipe that you read up online, like if you go online and you look for a grog recipe,
it's so boring.
It's so boring, right?
Yeah.
It's just like water, sugar, lime, and rum, and I'm like, no, that's not what would happen. See, in my mind. That's not what would happen at all, because if you recall, if you kind of like read up on all the pirate stories, a lot of these pirates had dysentery. They had issues with like having dehydration because there was no water, right? And so they used so the rum part, right? The rum they ended up actually watering down beforehand because that's how they ended up kind of paying them, right? So it was kind of like this. They were able to extend. They didn't want them drunk all the time because they paid them rations of rum. So they kind of watered it all down before they left to make sure that they had enough for everybody to not get drunk and still pay them, quote unquote, their rations. So I imagine them getting to these islands, and what is absolutely just everywhere on these islands but coconuts, and of course coconut water, right? So that made way more sense to me, like coconut water, limes, coconut palm sugar, and the rum.
So what you're saying is like there are no other grog recipes that use coconut water.
Not that I've seen.
All right, because it's so good though.
and it has electrolytes because it's coconut water.
Well, there you go.
So see, it's healthy too. So I mean, knock yourself out, as I say.
All right, I'll do that. Also tried the what was it? The Siren's Tears. I also really like that one.
Yeah, Siren's Tears.
And the, what was it one? The fruity one with a lot of mango juice. Oh, the Ancient Scully. Yeah.
Oh,
Ancient
yeah.
Scully. Again, mango juice. You need to, only can hold for a couple of days. So, gotta make some more Ancient Scully cocktails.
Gotta make those.
What a shame.
Yeah, what a bummer.
What a bummer. What's your favorite cocktail from the book?
My favorite cocktail from the book actually is a, where is it? It's the Gold Hoarder.
Oh, yeah. With the Goldschlager is Bell.
Yeah, that's Bell. That's a nice, and if you like mint, that's really nice there.
Yeah,
it's
I want
the
to
Gold
try
Hoarder.
that.
Yeah, you should definitely try that one. This is the one with the blood orange liqueur, and it's mango juice. There you go, mango juice, dark rum, and gold leaf.
All right.
And then so you mix up everything, and then you top it off with 1 ounce of dark rum.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Well, I want to try all of them, so there you go.
That one you can sip. Yeah.
Also,
one you should sip.
the Shrouded Ghost cocktail also looks amazing.
Yeah, they did that at Rare in their canteen. Did you see that? They posted up they did a Sea of Thieves day a couple days ago. I think it was like on Wednesday or Thursday last week. And they did a whole Shrouded Ghost, like I saw like a big container of them. And I asked Joe yesterday. I said, so how was it? And she goes, oh, it was great. so yeah, they did a whole big container of the Shrouded Ghost.
That's great, because it's not just mixing the ingredients together with this one, because you also need to coat the side of the glass with grenadine. So was it hard to come up with that?
No, I mean, I was also a bartender some time ago, so bartending actually you can get a lot more creative sometimes than you can with cooking, and the reason being is because it's a smaller creation, right? It's a mug or a cup or a glass, or and it's lesser, like it's ounce of this, 2 ounces of that, right? So it's way less time investment, so you can really get creative. So what I was thinking about is like the streaks, right? So when anybody sees a Shrouded Ghost, and FYI, I never have, and I've played like I can't tell you how many hours in the game, and I've never seen one. And anybody out there who I've heard has been in the game for 50 hours and has seen 2, I'm going to reserve my thoughts about you. Just saying. Lucky. Anyway. So I think about the fact that when you would see a Shrouded Ghost, right, the first thing you would see, right, when you're looking behind and you as they pop up out of the water, is you'd look for the streaks, like you look for like the pink and gray, right, on their back, and so that's where the streak thing came in. I'm like, yeah, it would be like these red streaks on this grayish white, and then you'd see like the eyes, and you'd be like, ah. So
yeah, you did the eyes with the pomegranate seeds.
Pomegranate,
yeah. That's so great. That's so creative. That's really great. Is there anything you would change in the cookbook?
Currently, no. Okay. Not really. Like I said, I took a lot of time to, I spent a lot of time trying to make sure I had the right combination. I do have like a lot of other recipes in my mind as the game evolves, because this one was done 2020, almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I finished this two years ago.
How long did it take you from start to finish?
It took me 3 months.
Oh, that's quite fast, I think.
No, it is quite fast because they wanted it really fast. So the thing is that there was a timeline. Titan Books had a timeline on it, and they wanted a certain time frame to have this book done. So they said, well, this is it, but the problem is that we need it done by this time. And I'm thinking, oof.
Yeah, that's 150, almost 150 recipes.
I'm like, that's tough.
That's crazy.
All right, let me think about this. So then I kind of I put it into a spreadsheet. I'm like, okay. So first I got to figure out the story. Once I figure out the story, then I can figure out the recipes. Then I figure out the concept of the recipes, how these things actually exist in the world, and go through this whole thing. And then I got to break them out by days. Like, okay, how many recipes can I do per day? How many setups? I had to figure out how to get the props, because there was no way I was going to photograph these like in a quote unquote typical freaking Pinterest or whatever type of a way. I'm like, no. This is going to be full on. I want to be immersed. I want to be in the Sea of Thieves eating these things. This is what I want. So it took me, there is a bunch of props that I made, and then there's a ton of props that I got from so many other people out there in the world. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to need. And so by the time that I got the props, because a lot of them, like there's two prop makers. That one of them is in England, the other one is in Spain, and then the other one is in Poland. So I'm like, if I order them now, they might get here in 2, 3, 4 weeks. So I kind of have to plan around all this stuff. So getting the props and getting everything set up and making sure that I had the right environment, the right background, the right everything. It was challenging. And then the thing was, the reason it took so long from when I finished it to now is, of course, and we talked about this at the beginning, Rare wanted to make sure it was exactly how it is that they want something. Which I, by the way, I absolutely applaud. I'd love, any license owner or any entity that has that much attention to detail. Kudos.
That's great too. Well, not that much attention to detail because they got the Stormfish wrong.
Okay.
No, to be fair, it does look great. Like it's a complete package. This cookbook. Were there any adjustments you needed to make? Any feedback they gave back to you?
Yeah, there were a few. 100%. There were a few. There were, I think, 5 images that they wanted redone. Because there was a piece of cookware, or a piece of, or one of the dishes. And to be fair, these were dishes that I had photographed before I got some of the props that I wanted.
Okay.
So it made sense, right? It made total sense. And I was rushed, right? So I was rushed, like 3 months. Like, you got to get this done. So this took 2 months later, 2 or 3 months later, they came back with certain adjustments they wanted to some of the photos. So I had to remake that recipe and reshoot it. So there were a few of those.
Okay. Because it is very varied, because sometimes the recipe is on a table, the meal is on a table, sometimes it's in the sand. You use a lot of different props, and it seems like you went to different taverns to make all these photos.
Exactly.
But where did you take them? Did you go to a studio, or is this your home place?
This is my house.
Okay.
Everything is done in the house. Like I said, I'm a trained photographer, and I converted my our dining room into a studio. So it's all around the house. Like there's different places, there's different areas that have different light that come in that I liked, and then I also wanted a few of those photos to really feel like you notice some of those are actually like in the tavern themselves.
Yeah.
So what I was trying to do is, like I said, I love immersive games. I think we were chatting about this earlier, the fact that I really like sandbox games, right? So that's why I like Fallout 76 a lot. That's why I like Sea of Thieves. I like immersive games, somewhere where you can kind of really just sink into it and be a part of it. So I kind of took a look at the different places that I wanted some of these meals, and I looked at the lighting, and I adjusted the lighting to see if I could actually place them into the taverns, and that's how those came about.
All right, that's great. You're so talented.
Oh, thank you.
You really are. The pictures are great. The recipes are great. Everything works. Like I said, complete package.
Thank you.
And not only that, but you're also a angler?
I am an angler, yes.
So was it fun to think of replacement fishes for these dishes?
Yeah, it was. It's super was. So I mean, the obvious one is swordfish, right? Duh.
Yeah, that's easy.
That one was obvious.
Yeah.
But then when you start thinking about the other ones, you start thinking about like where would you find a pondy, right? So pondies are freshwater. So the best thing I think of is salmon, right? Because salmon is even though salmon goes saltwater, freshwater, they're mostly freshwater fish, right? So I'm like, okay, salmon. Because I wasn't going to do trout because they didn't look like trout, right? So the pondies. I mean, granted, they don't look like salmon either.
Right.
But their faces are.
Yeah,
but their faces are a little more like. Okay, it's salmon. It's just going to be salmon because most people can find salmon, right? So I'm just going to leave it at salmon. It was a lot of fun. Stripers was kind of like the fun thing too, to try striper bass, so bass fish. I also was really kind of, thank you for bringing that up as far as being an angler and concerned about, what fish. I was also extremely concerned with the environment. I'm very concerned about the oceans and everything. And of course, in the game, you have shark and you have megalodons.
Oh yeah.
And and you see all the commentaries they were posting up on on socials right after the book, right after Rare announced the book, and then you see stuff on Reddit. They're like, oh, where do I get the cook shark, or where am I get megalodon, and da da da. Well, I put a caveat in the back, which of course I believe you read, that has to do with the fact that even though there are, sharks and megalodons in the game, they're not going to be in this book because the outpost, the tavern keepers, wanted to be very they're very reticent of the fact that that in the broader world, right over out here, these animals are not readily available, and they might be endangered. So we're going to avoid those, and not to mention extinct, like a megalodon.
Yep.
So anyway, so I wanted to make sure that was clear, that it wasn't omitted because of the fact that there wasn't anything to do with it, because obviously people do, places do sell shark, but I refuse to do that, because then it just becomes a shark fin situation, and that's just bad.
That's just bad. Yeah, it's a smart decision. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Like maybe a fun story you can tell about one of the dishes you made before we move on?
No. I mean, as far as funny, obviously the devil's shroud cake was super funny. As far as like what the kitchen looked like. I am going to be doing, my next video will definitely be of the whatchamacallit, the Port Merrick breakfast, because that's actually the vegan bacon. And that was definitely one of the requests from Rare. Definitely wanted to see the vegan bacon in there. Yeah. So that was
it's kind of attached to the one of the novels, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense.
I didn't even know you could eat the skin of a banana.
Yeah. It's you can probably eat the skin of most things. It just depends. Obviously some of them are more fibrous and less poisonous than others. But
you can eat everything once.
Yeah, you eat everything once. That's how it is. You get a coffee bean, right? Yeah. Any other fun stories? Trying to flip the pineapple upside down cake. That was kind of fun.
Okay. Did it work first time, or?
It worked. I was just kind of like I almost fell, but yeah, it worked.
Okay. All right. That's good. Nice. All right. Let's move on to a little bit of the lore then. I mean, we talked about it a lot, but I think it's very interesting because we learned that Whitney is a vegetarian. We learned that the Pirate Lord loves his chicken wings. We actually now know that the boxes of exquisite spices contain ingredients to make chili. So thanks to you, all this information is now considered canon. So how do you feel about that?
Honored, overwhelmed, and scared.
Okay. Scared because?
Because it is such a responsibility. I take this stuff so seriously. I have, like I said, I been playing 76 since the beginning, and played Sea of Thieves not since the beginning, but a year after. So it's been a long time. And I have a lot of friends who track lore in 76, and they talk about canon all the time, right? They're talking about this and that. I mean, it's an on and on and on thing. And different than Sea of Thieves, there's like, you got the New Vegas, and you got 4, and you got all these other types of, like, for the franchise. And so when I hear them talk about this stuff, and I realize, holy shit, like, this is serious stuff. Like if I trip up in any way, shape, or form, I am going to get skewered. This is, I have to be extremely careful with how it is that I go about this.
Yep.
And that's why I did as much research as I did. That's why I wanted to make sure I was prepared to really understand how to integrate this properly. Because that's why a little scared.
You can tell you did your research. I think you have nothing to worry about. But for example, like Whitney is a vegetarian now.
Mm-hmm.
So was there something in her dialogue that made you think of that, or what?
Yep. In fact, if you go and you chat with a lot of these NPCs, you realize that they are they don't like meat, or like there's if you go back to I think it's Sanctuary Outpost.
Mm-hmm.
There's who is it? I think it might be the weapon maker, weaponsmith. I forget who it is actually, but she definitely talks about the fact she talks about food, but she doesn't like she basically says something along the lines of as long as it doesn't have any animals in it. Right, or something along those lines. So if you go and you actually like listen to all the different dialogues, you find out these little quirks. Like they have these little bits and pieces that will identify their personalities and their likes and dislikes.
So that's great.
Like you wouldn't know that Eduardo, right, was like the key to all the outside world black market, right? I mean, but if you go and you have a dialogue, he basically says, "I can get you anything." Right? So, you just have to kind of go and spend some time listening to them.
That's great. Good. I love it that you've done your research. That's very appreciated in the Sea of Thieves community. And also, Tasha has dug a pit in the back where she roasts her pigs.
Yeah,
is there a pit there?
No, there's not a pit, but there's a place for a pit, right? So, yeah, I took some liberty there because I was trying to trying to get that roast in there, and what I kind of found fun is that you got this unicorn, right? It's way up there, right? And so it's like, it's such a great place to have a Sunday dinner, right? It's such a great place because it's such a fabulous view, but man, you got to go up those ladders and. You gotta go all the way down and get that get that pig and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's I thought it would just be fun to add that in there.
All right, that's great. Any other lore tidbits you are proud of?
Mostly kind of tying in the fact that Lorena was bilge rats and black market. So she has. She has access to all these different people in the Sea of Thieves that would have black market connections. Plus, understanding the fact that she was also, she came from the outside world. So she actually would be able to have that, that understanding of what's available and what could come in. So I think having her as a storyteller made, at least to me, and I hope to most, made really the most sense on how things kind of like would really transpire. So I'm really proud of that. Glorious Sea Dog stuff, like the fact that that's shut down, but having the just the grog tales, like if you go and you kind of you go and you find the dialogue for Tilly, you find out that she loved making grog tales, right? So you have that as a bit of it. If you do a lot more research, for instance, for some of the tavern keepers, you find out, which is where the Pina Colada came from, you find out that Tallulah was actually making a grog tale called the Pina Colada.
Oh.
So that's actually from the game. So
nice.
So it's not an actual, like, that's not her recipe, that's my recipe. But that's what I'm imagining, because she keeps on working on it and she never finished it. so here it is. Yeah, just those bits and pieces, kind of going out there and finding all the different little pieces, and then kind of extrapolating on them and putting them into the book. I'm really proud of that, actually.
Nice. You should be.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about these renders now. Because like you said before, you did not have a hand in them. It was all Rare's decision. But there are a few renders in there that I have never seen before. And one of the first ones is the one of the Plenty Fins on your Plenty Fin fish tacos. And there's an orange and blue Plenty Fin. And it doesn't exist.
Ah.
Were you aware of that?
I was aware of the fact that I've never seen one, but I wasn't aware that the renders had not existed.
Yeah, that's so weird, right?
Yeah.
Like what is it? Like an old render or an old color scheme they thought they put in the book, or?
I don't know, because it looks like a coral, right? It looks like a coral Plentifin.
Yeah, let me just quickly Google coral Plentifin. Are there coral Plentifins? No, it's coral wild splash.
Yeah, there's a coral wild splash, but not a coral Plentifin. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like no insight from you to how that got
No,
there.
I have no idea. I mean, I know that I'd never seen it before. I know that it looked nice and bright and different than the regular olive Plentifin, which is the one that's there. I will say that the other, like there's only two other ones that I don't think I've ever seen before. Like one of them happens to be the skelly with a coconut in his hand.
Oh, okay.
I think that's on page page 42. The banana coconut cream pie. Like, have you ever seen a skelly with a coconut in his hand?
Can't remember. No.
Yeah, because they're always eating bananas out of their butt.
They are. You're so right. There are. Oh, maybe I need to make some adjustments to my video I'm making. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen that one before. And then the other, there's a couple other ones that kind of popped out at me. But let me find them. There was where is it? Well, of course, the obvious one is Briggsy.
Oh, I was thinking of another one, but yeah, Briggsy.
Briggsy with no mask. Like, have you seen Briggsy without a mask before?
I have, but I don't know if I've seen it in artwork. Okay. I see it. Yeah. Yeah, page 74.
Yeah.
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 But I knew how she looked like, so maybe that's why I didn't get triggered. Like, I know what she looks like. But I don't know if we've seen a render. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually seen a render of her without a mask. And then I was thinking...
But she appeared without a mask in the game, right?
I think she did when she's telling a story. I think when she's telling the story, right? When you go through the tale, right? When you go through the tall tale? Or the adventure? What was it? Was it the adventure or was it the tall tale?
I think the adventure.
Adventure,
or at the end of the short
when she removes her mask, when she's like, the curse is gone or something, right?
I need to replay that. It's been a while. Any other render you had in mind that you thought was neat?
Well, the other render I had in mind was the snake special.
Okay.
So there's a plate with snake in it.
Okay.
So I thought I've never seen.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, never seen that one before.
I know the one. Yeah, that's true. It's just cooked snake on a plate, but never seen that before. The one I was thinking of was the one with the grilled kraken tentacles. There's a kraken attacking a galleon.
Oh, yeah, that one with the whole... I'd never seen that one before either, with the whole head.
Aye, indeed. And the cosmetics on the galleon are actually of, I think, a Sea Dog cosmetic, like the first one. So it could be a very old render, when they still had plans to show the entire Kraken. Don't know if you know this, but because when the game came out, Rare promised that we're gonna see the Kraken's gonna evolve over time. They said, and eventually you will see the entire body, and that happened.
Ooh.
It happened in the way that the Kraken gained more attacks since release, and it happened in the way that we can see the Kraken in a tall tale, and when we're diving, you can see it swimming.
Right.
But what we really wanted was to see its head in the game world when
In the
it
game
attacks
world.
it. Yeah.
So,
So
we saw it. We saw it in Pirate's Life, right? When we're in the in that little bubble area, and when we see it like cruising around outside. Yeah.
So maybe we have hopes to see the Kraken appear in full.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of cool, and yeah, so looking forward to being even more menacing. Great.
I indeed. All right, we're gonna move to the future of your culinary career. Before we do that, anything else you want to talk about the cookbook that we have not mentioned yet?
No, I mean, I just, I just really hope that everybody really enjoys it, and just kind of sees all the love and attention that I really kind of put into it, because and all the love that I have for the game. I mean, I hope it comes through like it came through to you. I hope it really does come through. It was, like I said, it was definitely a labor of love. Everything was done, by me, except for obviously the renders and so on. In fact, funny little tidbit, a lot of the in-game photos, in fact, I would say about 60% to 70% of the in-game photos I took.
Oh, okay. Oh, you think the Rare would do that? Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of rare ones in there, and then there's and then a lot of them I did.
Okay.
So I think there were a lot of selections that the people had at Titan Books to kind of choose from, and those were chosen. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
nice to know.
So it's nice. I get to see my barnacled silent barnacle ship set.
Oh, lovely. Oh, so your ship is in the game, in the book, sorry. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Oh, what is it? Is it a sloop or a galleon? Or?
It's a sloop. That's when I do solo slooping, that's what I use. It's
is that
page
on page
48.
Oh.
48, yeah.
48. Let me have a look then. That's cool. Does it have a name, your ship?
It's right now it's fins and claws.
Okay.
Yeah. So as an angler and as a cat lover, it just made sense. Fins and claws.
It does. I'm guessing you also have a cat in game.
I do have a cat in game. Yes. His name is Bixby.
Nice. I love it. All right, that's great. So let's move to your future career, because this book doesn't mark the end of your culinary pirate adventure, since you are also sharing both old and new Sea of Thieves recipes on your YouTube channel. So what are your plans for that going forward?
So my plan, well, I mean, I am hopeful, very hopeful to, if it comes to fruition, that we do a second book. That would be fantastic. I mean, I'll just put it out there. I am open to it. I'd love it. It would be great. I guess it all just depends on how well this book does. Which I think, I mean, from what I heard, it's doing great. On the first day, it's sold out on Amazon US. And I had no idea. I was actually streaming, and somebody had popped into my chat, and they said, "Hey, Shreds, did you know that your book sold out?" I'm like, "Get out of town. That's not true." And they're like, "Yeah, it is true." So they started popping in all these screenshots of it not being in stock, and I'm like, "Wow, okay, cool." So yeah, that was exciting. So I am kind of hoping that it does really well, and that there is a consideration for a second book. So the YouTube channel, here are the plans for that. So I'm going to be doing a lot of the recipes from the book, and the how-tos, and kind of I mean, if you've seen a couple of the videos, I've only done 2 so far, because they take a little time to kind of put together. So the plan is 1 to 2 a month. And to also incorporate new recipes that I've done. So I've worked on new recipes that integrate, like, for instance, Legend of Monkey Island. So I did coconut monkey bread,
okay,
which is really delicious. And then there's I did chilled banana soup, which is technically a smoothie in a bowl. And I know there's a lot of argument of like whether or not cereal is soup or whether a smoothie is a soup in a cup, or it's like So guess what? A smoothie is now soup. Anyway, so there's that. Then I've done a couple of other grogmas. So I did a grogmas pudding.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Saw
which
that,
is also also very delicious. It's very Caribbean based, so a lot of pineapple and macadamia nuts, and so different types of ingredients. Anyway. So planning on doing some other recipes that I'm thinking through some other grog recipes and so on that are not in the cookbook that I'm going to be posting up there. But essentially what I'm trying to do with it is also open it up to everybody out there who's also trying their hand at cooking and using this cookbook as a gateway to that, and just tend to post up their videos there. So I'm going to set up a form at some point once I have at least 10 videos in there already set up and nicely kind of like doing their thing. I want to open it up to the Sea of Thieves community to submit their videos of their attempts and post them up, and kind of like maybe do a monthly raffle, right? Have people vote on which is their favorite video from the Sea of Thieves community, and maybe do a raffle for something, maybe in-game cosmetic, or maybe an apron, or who knows, something else.
That would be great, because a lot of my crew is doing the sot shot every time.
Yeah.
And I'm not really into that, if I'm being honest. But if I can earn a special apron, Sea of Thieves apron for cooking, I would definitely submit a video. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you want them to replicate the dishes of your book, or do you want them to come up with their own dishes?
I would love. I mean, either way, like whatever they would do, as long as it was inspired by the cookbook, right? So if they saw something in there, they said, "Hey, I was inspired by the shadow stormfish and with the salsa, and maybe I wanted to kind of change out the salsa a little bit. Maybe I didn't want to make it mango based. Maybe I wanted to make it I don't know, a basic tomato base, or maybe I wanted to make it pineapple base, or maybe I wanted to do something else, or maybe I just wanted to use a different fish for it. And anything that goes along those lines. Like if they wanted to change up some of the other like the coins, like the Sea of Thieves coins are made with coconut flour. Maybe they want to do regular flour, right? Maybe they made that adjustment. Maybe they, for the Plentifin tacos, maybe they used a different type of fit. Doesn't matter. As long as it's inspired by the book, take a look at it and post it up.
Okay. I'm already excited to try it out.
Yay.
So what will be the name of the sequel of your cookbook? The Cookbook Part 2.
Wow, you really put me on the spot now.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Sea of Thieves, the cookbook remastered? I don't know.
I think Raz's gonna choose a title again.
Yeah, they'd be the ones to select that for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
I hope it happens.
Oh, how about Sea of Thieves? Athena's cookbook. Athena's recipes. Ooh, that would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it?
Why? Because then it's just recipes from the pirate.
Well, so there's some of the lore actually has like you can actually do the whale's tail. So if you take a look at the whale's tail, so Merrick and his crew, right? Obviously, we're on that ship. I think that maybe there might be some other recipes from a lot of these ships. Right. I mean, I'm just thinking about all these different ships that went down. So you got the Seaward, you got the Black Wright, you got Athena's, you have the Whale's Tail. I mean, you could actually possibly have a bunch of recipes from the galley chefs from those ships.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, now that you have me thinking through this live on a podcast, I mean, come on now.
And if it actually gets into a book, then we can say it started here.
It all started here.
But if it wasn't for Sea of Thieves, would you like to make another video game cookbook?
Yeah, Skull and Bones. I mean, I'm very pirate oriented. I really do like pirating life. But in Skull and Bones, they have a ton of recipes, right? So they have recipes all over the place that you can actually make. So I think that would be super fun. I would really like to do a New World recipe book. That would be good too.
When people came to the New World, and what would they make with the ingredients they found there?
Well, no, the game New World.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, the game New World also has it's very pirate oriented. So that would be kind of cool too. Because they have a lot of recipes as well.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that game. Fallout 76 maybe?
Well, so there is already a Fallout book, right? So, like at the beginning, I talked about Victoria Rosenthal. So she did the official Fallout book. So she's done a lot of the Bethesda game books. So I would imagine even if there was a Fallout 76 option, she would probably be the one doing that.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough.
I'm also a very realistic person.
That's fine. That's good. That's good. And then final question: if there was another rare game you would make a book for, what would it be?
You mean like Everwild? Maybe.
Everwild could be. Are there talks about that?
I wouldn't. That would be pretty cool. I would not say no to that. Yeah, that looks amazing. It'd be very woodsy. It'd be definitely kind of definitely touching on a lot more mushrooms in that particular game. So more mushroom, more venison, more more game. Like now we're talking like boar, rabbit, venison, that type of on the meat side of things, and then on the vegetarian, vegan side, mushrooms and. Some wild onions and all kinds of stuff. Oh man, yeah, I can go to town on that one.
I love how your mind works. Like already immediately spinning recipes. That's great. Yep. That's so great. So we're gonna close the podcast off now. So anything you still want to mention to our listeners?
No, just that, if you guys are interested in what I'm doing in the cookbook, just hop on over to youtube.com/@Sea of Thieves Cooking. That's where you can actually see a lot of the recipes being made, and even some that aren't in the cookbook, and also an opportunity to post up your own. And then if you want to hang out and sail or watch all the shenanigans that happen, I'm found on Twitch at El Gato Pub. So yeah, that's about the only kind of tricky thing is like trying to find me. It's like it started out as El Gato Pub, and then people know me as Shreds, and then of course my name Kayce Baker, and it's like okay, so who am I? So I'm kind of all over the place, but yeah, El Gato Pub is my handle over there.
All right, I'll make sure I'll put all the links in the description.
Thank you.
People can click on it. I'll also make sure there's a link to the cookbook as well, so people can buy it as well.
Awesome.
Definitely do that. And if you're listening, dear listener, if you have tried out the cookbook, please share your experiences in the comments. We do read all of them. And if they say something nice, Kayce, I'll make sure I'll let you know.
Thank you so much. If they say something mean, just send them over to Reddit.
All right, that's your zone there. That's the Reddit zone. Well, get out of my comment section. We're not used to negativity here. All right, but that's it. That's a podcast. So thank you very much for being our honored guest.
Thank you so much. This has been an honor. I really appreciate this. This has been a lot of fun.
That's great. Yeah, it was great for me as well. I'd really love having you on and talk about these meals. But yeah, this is the end of this podcast. So if you did listen to the end, just know that I love you more compared to my other subscribers. So thanks for listening and take care. And then you say bye.
Bye.